Okay, future teachers, this is a brief tutorial of how to complete this assignment, Classroom Management Plan Part 4A. So what you'll do is you'll open up the Classroom Management Plan that you've already been working on. I repeat, you will work off the one you've already completed Part 1, 2, and 3 on, okay? And then if you open up the template that's provided for this assignment, this is the only part that you're going to work on. In fact, this might even be just a teeny tiny bit different than the one that's on your assignment. So if you want to copy and paste it in, honestly, the only difference though is I put little descriptions here as far as what we mean for each of these. So think back to what we've talked about in class, as well as the video quiz that you took over social emotional learning. What you're going to do is you're going to think about the students that you selected in the video at the beginning of this assignment, which class, okay? And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, if I look at these competencies for social emotional learning, which of these would I teach early on in the school year to that class that I'm working with? Would I focus on social awareness? Would I focus on relationship skills? What would you teach early on in the first couple days of school? Now, this could be overlapping with the curriculum. This could be a standalone lesson, but this would be a lesson that you would teach explicitly to students. So you're going to identify a broad competency as well as a sub skill. So I might choose like social awareness and perspective taking. And if that's the one that I choose, what I would actually type in right here would be what? Would be social awareness. And then the category is perspective taking. Okay. All right. So that's all you do is your big category and your subcategory underneath here. Now, the next one is what strategy or strategies would you teach to your students in order to help develop this competency? So now you're going to go on the hunt. You're going to search the great wild web for a strategy that would be geared to your particular age group that teaches this. So we might do something like, let's move this over here. We might just go to Google and put that in there and put, let's see, we've got a second grade class. Misspelled activities, but you get it. Now, there are so many things out there that are tagged or labeled social emotional learning. So what you'll need to do is actually find one that actually jives with how it's been described and articulated in class. Because look, you've got 191 million results. So we're on the hunt as we click through these for something that actually is geared towards this age group and matches up with how social emotional learning is depicted in the materials that we've covered so far. So let's say that we do find this one, that we say, okay, here's an activity that we're going to use. Let's say we find one. Perspective taking, exercise 1, same situation, different perspectives. Maybe this is the activity that we decide to use. Well, in this part of our assignment right here, for the title of the resource, okay, we're going to put that right there. Perspective taking. Exercise 1, same situation, different perspectives. Okay? Go way down. All right, why not? Now, for the next part, description of the resource, okay, what might we put in there? Well, we'll go through and read what this resource actually is, how it's supposed to be used, and we'll give our own description. It'll be a mashup of how it's described and then our own take on it. So we will describe what this resource is in this part right here. Okay. Now, the next part is you actually explain in detail how would you teach this to your students? How would you introduce it? How would you model it? How would you allow them to practice it? How would you come back and check to what degree they're being successful? And if you'd like to see to what extent you really need to provide description and things like that, if you go back to the original assignment on Canvas, there is an example of one that's been completed by a past student. Okay, and you'll see each of these components and to what degree they've described. Okay, now for this last part, you do need to link to the actual resource. Since I'm getting this resource from right here, perspective taking, that would be the link that I would include on this part right here where it says link to the resource. That's where I would put that. All right. Now, you're going to do that for a strategy. Remember, a general competency as well as a subcategory, or a big category and a subcategory, for something you teach them early on in the year. Now you're going to come up with another one that you teach later on in the year, something that students could go back and revisit and recheck. So this might be a strategy that you teach once, maybe a standalone lesson, and this could be more of a strategy that they could use repeatedly throughout the semester. So think of this as a one-time lesson, and this would be more of a strategy that could be used throughout. For example, let's take a look at our competencies here. Let's see if we can hone in on one that might make more sense to do it repeatedly over time. Maybe it'd be social awareness, respect for others. Okay, maybe it might be, is there a planning one? Yeah, I think there is. There should be one. Communication, social engagement. Looking. I thought there was one like on goal setting or something like that. 2 seconds. Okay, I don't know. Identifying emotions. Oh, goal setting. Here's one. So we might, like long term, maybe one that we'd use and reuse throughout the semester would be self-management, and then goal setting. Maybe that'd be a strategy. So again, really the only difference between this one and this one is that the first one is more of a one-shot lesson. Okay, just boom. We're going to teach you the strategy, use it or not, give them practice, and this is going to be one that you might teach repeatedly throughout the school year. So you do the same thing for each one of these, slight difference in the type of strategy that you select. All right, and that is a quick tutorial of how to complete step 4A, working with students to develop, articulate, and utilize self-monitoring and self-control strategies.